Hello, everybody. Welcome to our series Under the Hood. I'm Heather Cooper. I'm an AI educator and consultant, and this is Miguel with me. And we're going to be talking about a fun subject right now that a lot of people are interested in, which is Comfy UI. We're going to show you how it can be used with Glif to easily generate images. But before we get started, I want to introduce you to my co-host Miguel, also known as AP, and he's very experienced with ComfyUI and with creating and optimizing workflows for image and video generation. Welcome, Miguel.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Super excited to get this series started and go under the hood with how these applications work.
It's great to have you, and I'm excited too. I think it's a wonderful opportunity because a lot of people have questions. They don't really know where to turn for this type of thing. So hopefully we can help them out with that.
Yeah,
And for those
absolutely.
of you who might be new to Comfy UI, like me also, it's a node based graphical user interface and it's designed to make the process of generating images with stable diffusion more intuitive and powerful. We're going to walk you through its key features and benefits and how it integrates with Glif. And we're going to be using Glif today. In today's video, we're going to demonstrate a Glif that Miguel built to generate iPhone wallpapers, and he'll show you step by step how you use Comfy UI to create this glyph and how you can customize it to produce your own unique designs.
So one of the benefits of ComfyUI, as we'll walk through, is that it's extremely customizable. So the coolest stuff that you're seeing right now in open source, like we'll put up here, JBoog's very awesome animations that he does with people dancing. They're enabled by the flexibility that ComfyUI gives you, where you can get under the hood, look at the different models, what they're connecting to, what they're exactly doing, and make some really amazing things. The other awesome thing about ComfyUI, it has a very strong community right now of open source developers and artists. And so my go-to place is the Banadoko Discord. So definitely check that out. Whenever something new comes out with respect to AI models, open source AI models, it's typically in ComfyUI within a day or two. It's something really awesome. Yeah, that's sort of the benefits of ComfyUI at the moment.
All right. So today we're gonna, in the context of Comfy UI, we're gonna talk about Glyph, and I'm pretty much reading through Glyph's information if you want to know what it is, because it's pretty simple, but you can do a lot with it. It's a playful, low-code platform for creating tiny AI-powered generators, and they're called Glyphs. And at a basic level, a glyph takes the user inputs like text, an image, or the click of a button, and it generates an output, the text, image, video, or combination of those, and it uses powerful AI models in as a glyph. And it can be a selfie generator, it could be an image generator, you can make videos, memes, comic stories, or whatever else. And the best way to understand what it can do is get in there and look at the feed and explore like what other people are doing. There's like features of the day, glyph of the day, the featured glyphs, and just see what's happening. And you can experiment with those things and just try to get an idea of how you want to use it, because there's a lot of fun things on there. If you start playing around, it's a very basic, easy to use platform. And you can go through the existing glyphs and use other people's glyphs. You don't have to make your own. You can just use other people's glyphs. And that's what we're going to show you, how you can use the one that Miguel made and also how you can create your own.
So let's go ahead and start sharing. Okay, awesome. So right here we have the homepage of Glif. As Heather said, Glyphs are fun AI apps that anyone can build. They are taking this no-code approach to building with generative AI. It's really awesome. And right now, one of the things that's trending is like AI memes. And so you can come here and make an AI meme using Claude 3.5. And that's sort of going viral over Twitter right now. But what we're going to show you today is, so if I go here to my Glyphs, I have this iPhone wallpaper maker. And so how it works is I type in a text prompt. And so, for example, cottage with a pond and willow tree. And I get like an iPhone wallpaper that I can just, I'm actually using one on my phone right now. And so if we go here to remix, this is I think one of the strongest features of Glyph. You come here to remix, you see what's going on under the hood, right? So let me go ahead and zoom in here. So you can see that we're taking in a prompt, describe your iPhone wallpaper. In the previous example I just showed you, it was like a cottage. And that prompt gets passed into ComfyUI. So as we mentioned, ComfyUI is a node-based GUI for essentially getting inference out of generative models. And the cool thing about Glif is that you have a sort of containerized virtual ComfyUI right here without having to install ComfyUI locally, which you can, by the way, and do all that setup. So we just go right here into Comfy Edit and ComfyUI Editor. Now we see what exactly is going on with this application to make it run. So I'll sort of give a brief overview of what each of these specific nodes do, and then we'll look at examples of what happens when we tweak certain things. So the load checkpoint node right here, what this does is it's essentially, we're going to use the analogy of painting, right? The load checkpoint is sort of the tools that you're using to paint with. So each different checkpoint is a different AI model, and think each one has different capabilities, right? So this Albedo base XL V12 might be really great for realistic type images, right? Others might be really great for, I don't know, say like an oil painting style. So this really determines the tool set in which the model can paint with. The clip text encode prompt right here, it tells the AI model what to generate. It's sort of saying, all right, I want the prompts that we're going to inject in just a second, a mobile phone wallpaper, and I want it to be symmetric. And then this other one down here is the same thing, but we're telling it what we don't want it to do. So we can see that it's split here into this negative portion of the K-sampler. And we'll explain what the K-sampler is in just a second. And then this empty latent image right here. What this does is it tells you the canvas size of the image that you want generated. So right now we have 464 by 1024. That's to give us the wallpaper thing, right? So we have the smaller width and the larger height to give us, that wallpaper size. And these have to be in increments of 64. So that's why you see like 1024 by 1024, 512 by 1024. And yeah. And the K-sampler here.
Can I ask you a question for the canvas size? Where do you find the aspect ratios, or what the,
Yeah, so typically you can find the aspect ratios like using other people's Glifs, or you can just, the base is 1024 by 1024. And then there's also like 768 by 768 that are like very commonly used. So I guess I would say that right now, a lot of it's done like based off like memory, but I think let's go ahead and plop in the description as like a very first tool, like the different aspect ratios of like,
I think that
landscape,
I'll try to
portrait,
do that.
and square. Yeah, I think we can do that.
Would be helpful. Absolutely.
So helpful for you all, so you don't have to go in and do that manual math.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the K-sampler here, going back here into the Comfy, this one tells the AI model, like, this is where the generation's happening. It's saying that, we're going to take a random seed. We won't go into all these examples here, but essentially we pass all that information that we just gave it here with the model, what we want it to be, what we don't want it to be, the canvas size. We pass it into the VAED code, which sort of takes the like AI image and gives it into something that we can interpret, and then saves down the image. And so when we come here to the Glif, describe your iPhone wallpaper, we'll go into the Glif testing area. We'll say a penguin sliding down an ice slide. And it's just going to generate. So you can see here, it took in the prompt and now it's running the ComfyUI instance. You can see the ComfyUI CUI is running. So it's running through all those different nodes. And hopefully we get something nice. Yeah, we get the little penguin right here.
Oh,
sliding down a block of ice. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So yeah, as I mentioned, ComfyUI is extremely flexible. So if we actually, don't want this to be a wallpaper, and we wanted this just to be a square image, we can go 1024 by 1024. And then Glif is going to automatically update. And we can, again, do the same prompt, penguin sliding down an ice slide. And we're going to see now it's going to be a square image. It's no longer going to be that wallpaper.
So somebody could use, that's a use case for if they don't want a wallpaper, they can just change that. Can they users go into change that aspect ratio or the canvas size?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you remix, it now becomes sort of like a fork or like a separate thing of your own that you can go and play with and do whatever you want to do with it, right? So if you want to like swap out the models or add LoRAs, which we'll get to at a later point, just make it do different things, right? Make it do like a landscape type image. You can totally do that within your own remix. So yeah, here
And
you
it's
can see
not going to
now we get
interfere
like
with
the
yours.
square. Correct. Yeah, it's not going to interfere with mine. You can kind of go off, do your own thing, experiment. This is really a great way to, I guess, get the experience of using Comfy without having to go through the steps of installing locally, which is a great option to do locally, but sometimes it's not for everybody, right? Sometimes you just want to play with the thing.
And this is not going to take up like too much of your like storage space and for your compute power and things like that, right? Where it doesn't matter what type of computer you have, or can you use this on a mobile device too, or is it
Yeah, I
only your?
actually haven't tried on mobile, but I'm pretty sure you'd be able to. I think
Okay.
like to your point about like compute, here it's all web based and like in the internet, right? Or like in the browser. So you don't need a GPU right now. So right now I'm running this on my Mac. And I have like my 4090 machine. And so when I run ComfyUI, right, I have to either um, SSH into my machine or be at home to be able to run ComfyUI locally or use like a RUM pod instance, right? But here on Glif, I can just do it all like on my Mac. Let's say I'm at the airport or I'm like visiting my parents or something like that, right? I can do it all here in the browser. So that's one of the great things about Glif.
That's really. Can you go back to the Comfy editor just to show
Yeah,
because it's we were talking about how it's not necessarily user friendly if you don't understand what each point means. So can go back over for the canvas and describe it like the way the load checkpoint is where you're going to pick the model, correct? Or I guess it's not like a can't like a painting or canvas, but just like step by step for the main points on what people need to remember. The load checkpoint.
yeah. So the load checkpoint loads your model in, and then you go to the clip. This is sort of like your prompt and what you want it to be. This then flows, we can see here, into the positive. So telling the generation, hey, we want this to be in the final output. And then again, here we set the latent image, and this determines the canvas size, right? How, like, do we want it like landscape? Here we have it set to square, 1024 by 1024. And then in the case of the wallpapers, I had it set to 464 by 1024. And then here we can see that this is attached to the negative portion. It's the same thing as the prompt, but what we don't want in the image in the final output. And then here, if you fork this, you can just sort of leave it as is. I think these settings are pretty good. And then the VIE decode, you don't need to worry about that. And then save image, you don't need to worry about that either. It sort of saves down the image. And then, yeah, that's pretty much how it works. So at a very basic level, you have the model, choosing which model you use, choosing what positive prompt you want, negative prompt, and then what you want the size of the image to be right here.
And that's also another thing that you can customize if you are remixing someone's glyph is to change the type of the model that you want for anime or for photorealistic or just more like a pixel type style. There's different ones in there if you're familiar with it, or just Google them and find out because these models are available. There are a lot of stable diffusion models like albedo base excel, and there are places that if you Google it and ask, like, what is it good for? What types of images is that good for? Or what type of model can I use that would make a certain style that you want to have? If you want to have it more, certain type of look that you want for it. So might look kind of like difficult to understand, but yeah, it's basically just different words for these things that we're used to using if you've ever generated any images on different apps, right?
Yeah,
This is just
exactly.
kind of a
So,
way to look at it
mhm.
under the hood. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, all good. Yeah, so exactly as you said, these are the words that we typically use to describe the image that we want, and we just sort of plop it in there into the positive prompt. The other thing I did want to go over, so I guess before we wrap, let's wrap the tie here. Um, this workflow, you can go ahead and see it right under the YouTube description. We'll link it below, and you can start remixing and playing with it.
Go ahead.
All right, so the next thing we wanted to show you is text to image, but with a LoRa on top. A LoRa is sort of just a way to inject a new style, new subject into the image generation process. So here, this is a glyph made by Fabian, and it creates Microsoft Paint sort of style images using a Microsoft Paint LoRa. So let's go and see what's going on here. Go ahead and click Remix. and then we see that we take in a user prompt. That then gets passed into the overall prompt. So Microsoft Paint portrait of whatever you put in. So like a cat, bad Microsoft Paint drawing. He's just, adding words there. And that gets passed into the ComfyUI instance. So let's go ahead and open that up. And so we can see that this is very similar to the one that we just did, right? Where we have the load checkpoint, we have the canvas size latent image, we have a positive prompt, we have a negative prompt, and then the K sampler, the VAE decode save image. The difference here, though, is that we're loading in the LoRa from Hugging Face, right? This one looks like it's loading the LoRa straight from Glif, which is also fine. But a LoRa, what we're doing here is we're essentially just injecting like a new style, right? So one that we can inject is the pixel art Redmond. So I'm gonna go ahead and select pixel art, and we'll keep that in. And then now when we go here, let me just go ahead and change this to pixel art, and then pixel art of, so that the LoRa can sort of pick up what we're generating here. Okay. And then we're going to put, I don't know, what do you think is a good prompt, Heather, for pixel art?
How about I like to use a cherry tree, a cherry blossom tree.
Okay. And so if this worked correctly, we should now see a pixelated cherry blossom tree. So we can see here, took in the prompt, pass that into the larger prompt here, and then now we're running that in the Comfy. So there you go. You get a pixelated cherry blossom tree, pixel style cherry blossom tree.
And if you specify like the bit, like was it 64 to like 250, well 128 bit, I think it'll make it even more like detailed. That'd be cool.
Yeah, let's go ahead and try that out.
I love playing with the pixel art. User prompt.
So yeah, we can just generally see though that just by adding the LoRa into it, we get a completely new style. And this can be done with pretty much any style that's trained. And we can go into at a later point, like how to pick LoRas, how to find them, and how to load them in from Hugging Face.
And so for these are there, it has a little bit more detail. Oh, I have to think about that. I like that though. It's kind of cool. Or you could do like a video game or something like that. Gorgeous.
Yeah, so there's a lot to play with here with Glif, right? Playing with the LoRas, playing with the basic text to image, and then like you can even do things as complicated as animate diff with inside of Glif, which we'll get to again at a later date. We're sort of just nailing down the basics here, just text to image generation right now. Yeah, Super Mario, not the best output, but
so cool.
It's
cool for something, and then you can go in and change the size, the canvas size if you want, and just kind of play around with it. But the main thing here is when you're in this, when you're remixing it and you're looking at under the hood, these kind of like the different blocks. Glif is made up of blocks, right? And each block, like the ComfyUI editor, the ComfyUI block is one separate thing, right? So the one above that is the prompt block, and we'll go over that when you go back out to that screen. But just to feel comfortable using these things without having to feel intimidated by just seeing words you don't understand. There's also glossary too that Glif has within you can look at the docs, and I'll put that in the frequently asked questions. I'll put that in the description for this video just to help you understand, like, what does this mean? And because it seems like it's kind of difficult, but it's not.
Yeah, and you mentioned variables as well. This is something I didn't cover. So the prompt variable that we have, which I'll go back to in just a second, gets added here with this. It's denoted by a curly bracket prompt, other enclosed in curly bracket. And so what that means is when we go here to this prompt one here, this is the one that's getting put into the curly brackets and then passed into the positive prompt. So what's happening is you're taking sort of like a dog, right? And you're putting a dog right here in user prompt. And then this then becomes prompt, if that makes sense. And this prompt gets passed into the ComfyUI instance. And so that's how the sort of flow works and how you inject like this block into the ComfyUI workflow here.
That helps to understand that a little bit better because I saw that and didn't really think about it as see it as a variable. So in the way that you're looking at this, there's a way if you're not if you don't want to go this far and you just want to try it, try somebody's without building a comfy uh, glyph, you can see it through the other face of it. So like the this is like a different way of a different view of seeing it where you're not under the hood. If you just want to go in there and type it in, you're not going to see the variable in each block, but that's what's happening underneath. You see those the indicators over there with each one. Those are the blocks. It's just a different way of looking at it. And each one's running through behind the scenes.
Yeah, and now we get the Microsoft Paint style cherry blossom tree running ComfyUI um, really to power this.
That's super cool.
So that's a very basic intro of ComfyUI and Glif. You want to close it out, Heather?
Sure. We covered a few things on here. The main points, just so we can go back through, is talking about Comfy UI and why people use it. It's a popular model. There's a big community. There's a lot of different things that you can do with it. The main thing is it's customizable and you can use it for a lot of different things. What we wanted you to take away from this video is a new way to approach a different way you can approach Comfy UI. And using glyphs, you can see under the hood of of Comfy UI. And remixing glyphs is the easiest way to learn more about how they work with Comfy. You can try it out in different places, and this is one that we hope you enjoy because it's a popular tool right now and it's becoming more popular for a good reason. And I think it's a great learning experience. Miguel, you want to talk about where they can find more information?
Yeah, and so if you want
If
to find more information about ComfyUI, what you can do with it, and really taking it to the extremes, definitely can continue to follow along the YouTube videos as we publish them. And then there's also the Bandadoko Discord and the Glif Discord, two very great places that you can go find other people building these amazing things, learn from them, experiment with them, and see what the tool is capable of. I highly recommend checking those two out.
You can find Miguel and myself on X is where we're most active. And we'll be having this series once a week. We're going to share another video to go over new workflows and different types of tools that you can use, models, so that you can see under the hood because there's so much out there. We encourage you to follow up and just if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, please. If questions about topics you'd like to cover or anything about what you've seen today in this video, we're here to try to give you another look at something where we don't know the answers for everything. We hope that you grow with us and we appreciate that you were watching this episode. Please come back in the future.
Thank you, everybody, for the time, and I hope you learned something today.